Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. If you would like to support the show, head on over to audibletrial.com/TMP to get your free audiobook download and 30-day trial at audibletrial.com/TMP. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from. You can listen to them on your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or your MP3 player. Make sure you sign up on the computer so that we get credit. We get a kickback for everyone who signs up for a free trial at audibletrial.com/TMP.
You are now listening to the Mythicist podcast, your portal to the paranormal, streaming live at mythicist.me. Your hub for all things spiritual, esoteric, and paranormal. And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
The show is designed to awaken your higher conscious state, to talk about some of the esoteric things going on in the world and things that's going on in people's lives, that we can really have a medium for a place for everybody to come together and put all their ideas and their pieces of the puzzle on the table and see if we can make a picture out of it. I'm your host, TruthSeekah, and I believe we have on the line my co-host, Anthony Graham. You there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
How's it going, brother?
It's going real good, man. How you doing?
Good, man. It's awesome to have you on board and your first show, hanging in there with me and helping me do this show tonight, man. Glad to have you on board.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Good stuff. Tonight we're going to be talking with Ed Grimsley. He's got some amazing videos. I first seen him on YouTube, seen some of his videos and seen some of his lectures, and some really nice stuff he has captured from different anomalies in the sky and different aerial vehicles he's seen, UFOs flying in formation, stopping on a dime, doing all types of different aerial phenomena. So, you know, we're going to bring him on. So without further ado, from California, we got Ed Grimsley. You there?
Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Doing good.
You ready? You're ready to go, huh?
Oh, yeah, we're ready, man. We're ready to get into it, man. We got a lot to talk about.
Let's get some teeth going here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like I said, I first seen some of your videos online on YouTube and actually on your website and stuff. And once I was checking out your stuff and trying to find more about you, I was listening to Coast, and I heard George Noorey tell a story, and he talked about he was doing some speaking engagements, and he said there was a mysterious man standing in the room watching him. And I think he said you came to like 2 different lectures or whatever, and finally you came up to him and said, "Hey, George, I can show you right now UFOs in the sky." And he said that you took him outside on the balcony or on the roof, and you used the night vision goggles and showed him. He said, sure enough, he's seen 2 craft that he had no idea what it was, and they were doing maneuvers that airplanes and satellites do not do. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, he and about 30 people came up on the roof in Santa Clara area, and I was showing people a lot of craft and a lot of things going, and so we sent some people down to grab him and get him up there, and there was still 4 craft still going on, and we were sharing, I think, 4 or 5 pair of goggles around, and I pointed out a couple to him and showed him, and this one that he was looking at just came to a complete stop. And George said, "Where'd it go?" And I said, "Well, go right there." But it just stopped, and it's playing like it's a star. And he says, "That is amazing." And then we looked, and then he saw some other stuff. Saw a couple of things zooming around up there real high out. And there's different things. Patrol craft, there's craft that are on patrol, there's motherships, there's all kinds of things out there. And there's satellites too, and there's bugs and moths, but easy enough to tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So in turn, George was looking around, and he handed the glasses off to Tommy or somebody else, and just then this other craft started to move. I said, George, it's leaving here. And I handed him mine and pointed the laser up, and it was leaving. And he goes, "What was it? Where did it go?" He said it was there, and then it just disappeared. And I just saw it standing there, playing like a star after you saw it stop. And then it just took off. And then after it was going real fast, it just closed and went whoop and blinked out. And he was like, his world was rocked because he'd heard about things, but when I was showing it to him, it definitely put him in a new state of mind.
Yeah, there's some amazing footage you have there, man. A lot of people have actually been filming using night vision goggles and stuff, and I tell you what, you're capturing stuff with those goggles that you can't see with the naked eye.
There's a lot going on.
What's some of the biggest objects you've seen out there? Are some of the objects pretty big? Are they usually just lights or what? What are you really seeing a lot of?
Well, I've seen several craft maneuvering, circling, battling, firing beams, blowing each other up. I've seen that a number of times, and I've seen like 3 come in fairly close to me one night and do a big horseshoe pattern around me like as if they were on parade. And that was awesome. But I've just seen so many different things. There's things out there that are football shaped. There's things that are delta shaped. There's things that look like a Conquered jet or a B-1B bomber. And they're flying up in the edge of space or in space. And they can accelerate and just fly out of sight, just that quick. And they can really battle. They can really, really battle. You know, what I wouldn't give for a ride in one. And I've seen, many times I've seen them blow one another up. Usually when it's a battle with the deltas, the other ones get hammered. But other times, the disc shape or saucer shaped ones that go at it with each other sometimes, it's hard to tell who's who, but they usually blow one another up. And sometimes you'll see a rescue capsule come out, blinking in a few minutes, and the other craft is gone that blew it up, and they'll be blinking and having a strange strobe light, like some of the military craft have. And they'll float along in space, just drifting at whatever speed they got hit at. And about half the time you'll see another craft come up, circle it, and then another craft come and fly patrol around it, and it'll move in and pick that capsule up and then fly it away. One night we saw.
Wow.
One night we saw one get blown up, and about a minute later, here's the strobe light floating across, and then about 5 minutes later, here is a single craft coming from one direction, flying in really fast and flowing up and turning right near the damaged craft, the capsule, and then 2 more coming from another direction, and they split apart. One flew one side of the circle, and the other flew the other side of the circle like protection, and the one that was in first made contact, controlled, and picked up the capsule. Then it turned and started heading out, and the one circle broke and went in front, one behind, like protected. And I watched them fly out, and they flew out a high straight course heading right out towards the moon. It was shown to the moon, and they were getting smaller and smaller going towards.
So not only are you seeing a craft, not only are you seeing craft, you're actually seeing these things shoot at each other, correct?
Oh yeah, they battle. Not always, but it's quite often you see it, and sometimes it takes place so fast that if you blink, you're going to miss it. But you're going to find out that a lot of times when you're looking in the sky at night, you'll see something like a flashbulb go off way out there.
Mhm.
And when I have been looking and doing that, I think it's a craft getting blown up quite a ways out. And you've seen the flash and the explosion. And it's so far out, it's like 500 miles or 700 miles out, and you're not getting to see the size of the craft and that just like you would if you were 250 miles out. So I've had a lot of people that come and see it, and I've probably had 1,000 or better people that's actually seen battles that have come out and been with me when they take place. And there's another thing that happens. There's a fleet of usually 3 to 5 very big craft, and they'll come in from deep space, and they'll come in and they'll be descending down. And if you pick up on them, you'll see that they are in a safe pattern, like so that they can't get all attacked and taken out. Usually 3 lower and 1 on each side up higher. There's like a high guard, like a patrol. If somebody's in on them. And in turn, usually you see them dropping down about 200-300 miles off the coast or in the ocean. And then we've seen them down by San Diego coming in and dropping down towards the Sea of Cortez in Mexico. And I've been out on ocean liners, cruise ships, and showing people when we're out in the middle of the ocean, and they've seen 3 in the lead and 2 high guards. That happened not too long ago aboard the Liberty ship going down towards the Mayan ruins down into the South Caribbean there. I think that the human race thinks more of itself than what it should, because often they think that we're the superior thing here, and there's so much out there going on and so much galaxies. If they just looked through the glasses one time, they would see how much potential there is out there, because you don't see hardly any stars compared to what you could see through the high-tech goggles. And if you get too cheap of goggles, you don't see very good. And you're going to miss out on a lot.
Excuse me. That reminds me a lot of our camping trip, man. You think that the flashes that he's describing may have been what we were seeing?
Could have been.
Could have been. Yeah.
Could have been. We've seen a lot of flashes, yeah.
If you're looking up and you'll see something that looks like a flashbulb went off way out there in space, that's somebody hammering somebody. And we've seen some of those flashes and then looked them over and checked them out with some 10-power magnification night vision. And you can actually see the strobe lights come on, and you can see craft come in later to pick it up.
Wow. So let me ask you this. I think the next question is, I don't think there's a question about if there are craft up there. People are seeing them. There's countless numbers of videos, people seeing them for themselves. I don't think it's a question if they're there. They're definitely there. Who or what is manning these craft, in your opinion?
Well, I believe, you see, back in Alexander the Great's day, a couple thousand years ago, they reported battles going on over their battlefield. And that these chariots were firing lightning like at each other. And I believe that there's always been more than one out there, and that one may be protecting mankind or keeping possession of mankind, us, and another may want to come in to help us or take over control. And I think that's the battling going on there. Or it could be just a good old good and evil battling it out. And we're kind of the spoils.
I know that there was a prophecy by Edgar Cayce, which he said that the Battle of Armageddon would be fought in the sky, would be fought in outer space. And then here you are, getting footage of these different ships and seeing these anomalies of these ship and craft shooting laser beams at each other, blowing up and things. It's amazing, man. The seeing is believing. If you try to tell somebody, it's kind of like the old saying, I can show you better than I can tell you. So you may not believe me, but whenever you put these goggles on or you check out the footage for yourself, see, it's totally different. Experiencing a craft, having a craft come down and seeing something than, taking somebody's story for it.
Yeah, well, the things I tell people about when I was 16 and saw all the battles going on in the Sierras above my hunting camp and waking up my dad, my mom, all the camping and hunting friends around us and showing them. And after an hour and a half of them watching this stuff go on, most people go, oh well, and back to sleep. I laid up all night and watched until daylight the next morning. And I counted over 45 craft blowing each other up. I don't know who was who. But my dad had a good answer for me. He says, well, I'm going to go back to the tent and go to bed. I says, how can you do that? This might be the end of the world or Armageddon or whatever. He says, well, if we're still here in the morning, I'll wake up. And if we're not, I won't wake up. And then they're battling up there. And he says, well, I don't know what they're fighting about. I don't know who's fighting who. I don't know what they're fighting about. And he says, I don't know whose side I'd be on. And my .270 deer rifle wouldn't reach him. So he says, I'm going to go get sleep. And if there's a tomorrow, there's a tomorrow. And if there's not, I won't know. And he says, but you're going to town to get supplies with me. I said, okay. So I told him, I said, I'll sleep on the way to town.
Okay.
And so we
so
were
let me
out by Weber Lake, and we went into town. And when we talked to the military, the first guy said, oh, yeah, there's been a lot of calls on that. And then he pushed my dad through. And the next guy just gave my dad a bad time, tried to make him think he was crazy. And my dad told the guy to go to hell, and you're on my diet.
Awesome.
And the guy says, you can't tell me to go to hell. And my dad says, what do you mean I can't? You're wrong. I just told you to. He says, I'll tell you again.
That's awesome. Hey, check it out. What kind of NVDs were you guys using? I mean, there's different types of night vision devices. What type were you guys using to see the craft?
Well, there's several pairs and kinds that'll work. Usually you have to have a high generation, like at least a 2+ or a 3. And if somebody tries to sell you a 4+, watch out, because they only made Generation 4s for a while, special ones, and they had a lot of trouble with them. And so they're not making them, but a lot of people are saying, oh, here's 4, but it's actually a 3+ or a pedicle grade. And they're a little clearer, a little better. But the Gen 3s and some Gen 2 high performance ones you can see good. But everybody and their brother wants you to buy a $4,000 pair from them and get their company to sell it to you. And then they tell you things like, oh, yeah, Ed Grimsley buys his goggles from us. You know, lie. You know? But companies are getting rich off of what I've told people, because I'm the one that started all this night vision goggle stuff and UFO work. They call me the guru or godfather of night vision UFOs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of true, but it's like I had one guy call me one time, and he says, well, you're not the first one to see these craft. I've seen them. And I said, well, why didn't you tell them about it? He said, well, it was a long time ago. And he says, I could see them in Avalon. And I says, okay, well, how long ago was it? Well, when he says he could see them, the only Gen glasses was available was some of the first military Gen 1s. And if you used a pair of those and looked up, you're lucky to see parts.
Yeah, in front of your face.
So he was just sitting there lying, trying to tell me this, and then when I told him about how you can't see those with that model or that design. Oh, well, yeah, well, I think it was something like that. I don't know. I'm kind of strange, but, you know, I'm a little bit crazy because it helps.
Yeah.
But I'm truthful about it, and I'm trying to warn the world that we're being taken over, we're being maneuvered, manipulated, and over-controlled, and it's coming from all levels of our government, from the cities, counties, the states, and federal, and that they're lying to us and manipulating us, and it's not just our humans. There was alien and Nazi rehearsing going on with Hitler in World War II, and together they were going to take over the world, share it, whatever. Well, Germany lost the war, but the Nazis kept going. And their scientists came over to America, and some of the scientists went to Russia. So now you got Russian Nazi, American Nazi, and they came into power, and space programs, scientific programs, and that, and then they started running it, started getting involved, and then now there's infiltration in our Congress and our Senate of outside sources, because when 7 vote no in Congress and Senate vote no, 10, and the rest vote to take our right of way to grow our own food, you got to know that's a crock of crap, and that they're not for us, and that they're trying to get easier for Monsanto and their big brothers to grow seed and food.
Yeah.
And if they stop you from having food, you're going to say, well, hey, you know, I'm hungry. Kids are starving. Say, well, give us your guns and become one of our patriots here, and if you join us, we'll let you have food. And the FEMA trains, the FEMA camps, all the underground facilities that they've dug and built. I mean, you look up people like Phil Snyder, working 17 years doing underground, has a shootout with some grays underground. And then he tells the truth, and worst case is suicide, you know, hanging himself, shooting himself, and stabbing and all that stuff. I mean, it's just terrible.
Yeah, he ended up passing away in some mysterious death, didn't he? The guy who came out with a lot of information on that.
Yeah, well, he got murdered.
Okay.
They hung him, him, shot him, and stabbed him.
Yeah.
Brutal suicide.
Leaking information. Well, you know, at least that's what they said. Look here, Ed, I want to open it up now to just let everybody know the reason we started this show was to really put the information out there for other people who, you know, have questions, who are seeing craft and going through these experiences, but they don't have nobody to talk to. They can listen to the podcast, they can call in with their questions, things like that, you know. So if anybody has any questions, if you want to ask Ed any questions or anybody on the panel, the number to call in is 724-444-7444. You'll enter PIN number 78643, push pound, and then, actually that's the call ID, then the PIN number is 1 and then pound. And with that being said, we have a guest in the room I actually want to bring in on the line. This was when I first started seeing craft and having sightings for myself. Was about 3 years ago now. So it's been about 3 years, and when I was going through it, there was a lot of questions and things that I had, and not really many people I can talk to. I tried to talk to close friends, and then they wouldn't answer my phone calls later, and only thing I had was the internet and Facebook and things like that, trying to reach out to people. And there was a guy that I met online because I think I connected him with one of your videos. I ran into him, whether it was through Facebook or whatnot. Anyway, his name's Erich, and I actually reached out to him about 3 years ago, and he actually accepted my call, and me and him talked, and he was able to say, hey, I've been seeing these things too, don't worry, you can, if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here. So I believe we have him on the line. Erich, are you there?
I'm here.
How you doing, brother?
Erich, how you doing?
Hey, Mr. Grimsley and Erich, I appreciate you having me on. And I just wanted to say, Mr. Grimsley, I appreciate you exposing, the world to this reality. As Derek said, I was exposed to you via Coast to Coast, and it piqued my curiosity. And I thought to myself, there's got to be something here to it. Later, I decided to take the plunge and invest in the Generation 3 night vision goggles. And I actually went online, and there was a phone number. And I called the phone number, and this man answered, and he was, disheveled. And immediately, I realized it was you. And you said, hey, this is Ed. And I said, is this Ed Grimsley? And you said, yeah, I just got out of the shower. And I said, oh, my God. And I said, it is such an honor, to speak with you. And you took the time to discuss the goggles, what I could possibly see, etc. And from there, I went ahead and purchased these goggles for about, close to $4,000. It was a huge investment. And I have to tell you,
did you buy them from me or somebody else?
No, from you, from your group.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, Mr. Grimsley, is I've been taking family and friends out and showing them these objects darting through the sky. And we can identify what a satellite is, because a satellite is a certain height and has a certain speed. But as you know, when you see these things in groupings zipping across the horizon in seconds, your heart stops. And you look at that, and your whole reality just changes, And I just again, I want to applaud you for having being so brave and honest and bringing this out. And when I'm showing skeptics, and they look at it, and they give me back the goggles, and they say, what did I just see? And it completely broadens their perspective and their reality, and it changes their paradigm in which they live.
And you like the look on their face when they realize they're being lied to by everybody?
Oh, well, Mr. Grimsley, everything we've been taught, academically, through the media, it's all an illusion. And when we talk about this zombie apocalypse, we are surrounded by virtual zombies. Humanity has been dumbed down to a point where it's embarrassing. You look at what they pipe out on CNN and Fox, and you look at the political system, and you look at both parties, and they're in essence the same thing, touting the same thing, touting war, touting, taking away your freedoms, you see. And then more and more, I have to tell you this, more and more people are waking up. And the veil is getting thinner. And that's a good thing. But I can only hope that veil is dropped soon enough, because we're in a collision course for something not so good. And I think you can agree with that.
Oh, I know so much more than I even tell the world, because I've been studying this for a good 20 years and watching the government manipulate the people and lie to them. And I've been watching our government get infiltrated and maneuvering to do what they want. And Eisenhower said, be careful of military-industrial complex. Now, Mamie Eisenhower was my grandfather's first cousin. She and my grandfather talked about aliens, crashed UFOs, how they were working with us, and that Icke even went and had a peace treaty with them. And then I hear stuff about them breaking the treaties, they're doing different stuff. And, we got a lot of technology off of them, and I wouldn't doubt it. And what we're not working together now to control the world and go out and get control of the universe. Because we're flying in and out at ease. And there's battles going on. There's battles going on out there.
Well, and to your point, Mr. Grimsley, you're aware of the TR-3Bs. And I actually witnessed a massive TR-3B going over Memphis. And it was silent. And to John McKinnon, you know who John McKinnon is. He's the one who hacked into the Pentagon and discovered the non-terrestrial officer.
No, that's Gary McKenna.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Gary. I'm thinking of someone else. But to the point is that, and to Nick Pope, maybe we have a breakaway society that possesses this technology.
Well, I've talked to Nick Pope. He even bought me a beer a time or two, and we've sat after conferences. And talking with Nick, he says that he knows I know a lot, and that he can't tell me I'm wrong. And I says, well, tell me more. And he says, well, I can only say what I can say. He says, I have a life, and I had a job, and I can't step out of bounds very far. And I says, well, I know that you know a lot more than you're telling me. And he says, but I'm telling what I can. So in other words, what you're allowed to say and what you can do is a point where if you go further, you're putting your head under the gillet. And he's a good guy, but he knows a lot more than he's saying. And and I actually am saying less than I know. But I'm saying enough to try to get the world to wake up, and it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And
amazing.
We've just got to try and work together. But the thing is that New World Order, military-industrial complex, Nazi power, aliens working in that whole group, they're out to control mankind. They're teamed up against us. And they're even developing hybrids, and I think they want to wipe out what they consider to be the low level and put in the higher breed. And believe me, if they had their way, right now a lot of us would be exterminated, and they're making plans to do it. And right now, it's not that they're going to take over. They have. We're in their control. They are maneuvering us and steering us. All this economy crap has been created falsely to make us hurt and bring the United States down. And there's a woman out in California being prosecuted with her family for having their own garden in their backyard, growing their own food. And yet Obama's wife has a garden at the White House, brags about it, and they made laws against having a garden. Well, to me, that's a treasonous thing. When you go to the UN and bring other countries' military into our country and say they're going to help with taking the guns away, no, we have the right to our guns under the Constitution. Our Constitution is not being honored for us by the government that's supposed to be honoring it. And when they bring in foreign troops, Hillary and Obama, when they're working on the UN doing it, that's just using another excuse, another way to take our protection. And we will be helpless. Now, that is an act of treason to go outside, bring foreign troops into our country and do it and claim it's the UN involved in that. Well, Russia was a wolf pack. We were supporting the UN, and that's because the UN is being used by the secret government to manipulate us and control us, and they even want to put an international tax on us on top of what we got.
Well, so, I don't mean to break in, Mr. Grimsley, but you look at the no debt ceiling. to me, it looks like it's a conscious attempt to destroy the American dollar. And once you destroy the economy, you bring in that new world order, one world currency. To your point.
Right. Well, I agree with what's being tried to be done, but they're trying. Certain people and units are controlling European market, money in England, money in Russia. There's all those world people that are doing it. And, I don't know how much they need before they have enough. They could spend what they have now. And to me, they're bound and bent on controlling mankind and owning it. Well, I don't know about you, but do you want to be a slave? Do you want to be owned and controlled? I mean, Obama, he's half black, and black people are following him like he's the Messiah. But at the same time, they don't have enough to see that he is bringing them down with the rest of us, and they're going to be slaves again, and it doesn't matter what color you are, they are taking us over. Now, people don't understand that the different nationalities in this world, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Korean, the Filipino, all these, and then the Scandinavians, different white races, the black races of different types. There is so many different nationalities out there, and I believe that when the earth has been destroyed before, I believe all these nations, all these people have been brought to different parts of the galaxy and replenished the earth. And if we ever learn to get along here, they cause problems, and we fight with each other again, and we make wars, and we destroy things. And they invest in war machines, money, and they make a big killing on us, killing each other. I mean, Mr. Bush, his father, he was supplying money and supplies to Germany and to America. He was an uncle. George W. Bush has a state worshiping room on his ranch in Texas. People have talked about it. It's just like, how do you put a program together with brothers and human beings to get along with each other when there's somebody else out there trying to stab it, make you fight, get involved, get your money, get you to fight with each other, and do the war and have your young die so that they can make money. Mm-hmm. I mean, people in Iran don't want to fight war and die. Iraq don't. They wanted to get along and live, but they also had their ways that was different from some of ours. And this government went through 9/11 and a lot of crap to make them look like evil. And it was probably some of our own culprit operations that created 9/11. And so how do you deal with lie after lie? The Colorado theater shooting. The young man was in a car, drugged out so bad that he couldn't even respond. And they had to break the car open, get in to get him, to accuse him. And there was a number of people in that theater that said there was a guy down front doing something. There was a guy by the side who was doing something like that. And then there was another man who bled to death, all covered, and he bled to death on somebody's lawn. And a team of guys dressed with masks and special suits come grabbed him off the lawn, put him in the truck, took off. And you see, some of the things that took place, it couldn't have been him. And the stuff that was done was about $10,000 worth of equipment and different things that used, and he didn't have money. So who gave it to him? I don't think he ever had possession of it. They took possession of him, drugged him, because his father was going to testify, and his father was a pretty well-known scientist. He was going to testify against some of the government people. And at the same time, if you shoot up a bunch of theater people and you do this and that, it makes it, oh, there's a nut loose and guns can't be trusted. They get the hands of nuts and they slaughter people. That was deliberately put on so that they could take a get mad, and they get busted on it. If they're finding out, it was staged, it's put on. And a lot of good researchers and investigators are coming down. Now they're trying to hush it all up. But that's because the UN is going to be used to come in and take your guns away. That was a way of them going to do some problems to justify that happening. It's just like the guy that supposedly shot Ronald Reagan. He was friends with the Bush's family. It was their kid. He had some problems, but he probably got brain. And the thing is that there is a photograph that the government takes possession of, but there was a guy in a window with a gun. And when the guy was shooting down on the street, the guy window, the one that shot Reagan. So, and it was photos, but they've hidden and taken control. And everything going down is pretty bad. We're being manipulated at every turn to manipulate us, control us, fool us, get our money, to do various things that won't keep track of them. And it's because our government has been infiltrated. No longer our government. And they're secret. It's involved with a space program that flies in and out to planets all the time. They can go to the moon, Mars, and it's just unbelievable what they've done. And I have seen them numerous times launching it out, dropping into the ocean. And, you know, I sound like I'm a nut, just rattling my tail, you know, and I don't have rattles, but I'm just trying to tell the truth. And the truth is that we need help in all the directions we can get. But you and I have no way of standing up against the corruption of the government. We can sit around and do what we do right now, go, bah, bah. But the government doesn't listen to us. They ignore it. And then they lie about us if we're telling the truth. And they have special people go out there and say, oh, Ed Grimsley is a nut. He's just trying to make money. He's trying to sell goggles. He's ripping the world off, whatever. And what it is they don't put their name on anything. Well, I put my name on what I'm saying because I'm telling you, and I have information of why and how. And believe me, I'm getting a lot of shit. And I'm through a lot of hell. I'm having a very rough time just surviving. And about 4 weeks ago, a fire started in my area where my ranch is. I had no home on it, but I had a motor home. I had a camp trailer, a camper, and a retired road contractor. I had my Cat 12 grader, my backhoe, my track ladder backhoe, my dump truck, and I had these things parked on my ramp. And I had fire breaks and everything all flanked around for safe reasons. And yet, everything is burnt to the ground. I had a fishing boat. You take the fishing boat out to take 7 or 8 people out fishing downstairs. I was working on it, fixing, and I had it with about 50 foot of clearance on every side of it. No fuel tank, nothing around it. And it and the trailer burnt down, and yet 20 feet away the grass burned under a greenhouse. So basically, I'm pretty sure that they made sure there's plenty of fire starting materials that when fire did come, that they would not. So I just took it for about $400,000, and some of that stuff I was going to sell to help me clear up different bills, debts, and go on research. And when I have carrying out that I've built up in the wire to take people out, and then I have a pair stolen here, a pair stolen there, and then 6 pairs stolen at one time. That's deliberately being done to put the hurt on and keep what I'm trying to do. Keep in control. And when I get told to stop doing what I'm doing, I say, well, so thank you. And these things happen. Some. They'll probably kill me for telling the truth. I guess if I'm dead, I won't have to worry about worldly corruption and living in those conditions, huh? But it's just like people that create free energy devices. And they get something that's working, show, demonstrate. And they're trying to get on copyright, tap, and everything taken care of. Next thing you know, if they're found dead, beat to death in their laboratories. And it's the same thing with people treating and curing cancer. Oxygen therapies. It's just bizarre. And there's things that could be done with frequency. Now, you talk about zombies. You see, the government, different countries are, there's all these secret, all weird. They can release it from a satellite and emit frequencies down and interfere with your nerves. They emit things that can listen to you with no wires. They can go up with that. They could listen to you talking in your front yard or your house. Oh.
Yeah.
See, they've been allowed
to
go
far. Hey, Ed, your phone's breaking up a little bit again.
Well, they're probably not liking what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is it any
Let me
better?
ask you this. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's just in and out. I wanted to ask you this about the craft and everything you've been seeing. Seeing at night, are you seeing them during the day now as well? Not, now that you're consciously aware of them at night, are you seeing them during the day at all?
I have seen a few craft in the daytime, but not like at night. And I have actually seen craft 3,000 feet above me, like as if they were small airplanes, but beautiful saucers, 150, 200 feet across. Ribs down the top of them, looking like an umbrella rib, and a dome. And I've seen them in a group of 3, close. And it's always something like you don't have a camera hooked up, and you see the amazing ones. Or somebody standing there and they're helping you film. They go, "Wow, I got it." Then they look at the camera and they had put the 5%. So, not to say that I don't have some footage. A lot of things are real good, but when you get government visitors that come to your town and say they want to see your footage and don't release anything without permission. I basically told them that I didn't have anything to show them. They couldn't take them because all my footage turned out blurry and I threw it away. And the guy goes, good answer, Ed, good answer. And
Ed, I have a quick question. This is Erich. I have a quick question. Have you been seeing, 2 weeks ago, I was in my backyard, and I've been seeing, I know this sounds crazy, a golf ball size light orbs that are going over, basically going over the house about 50 yards over the house. They go for about 100 yards, and they dissipate to nothing. I called my fiancée out after I saw one. She came out and witnessed another one that came by. Again, a golf ball size, like light orb that just vanishes.
Is this with or without the goggles?
No, without the goggles. This is in broad daylight. This is on a Saturday at 3:30 in my backyard, and they were incredibly low. And then she got tired. She walked in. I got my camera, and I actually took pictures, still pictures of these things. There were 4 sets that went by, and then eventually 3 in a formation off in the distance went by, and each blinked out. Now, I don't know. Here's a thought, is that I think when you open yourself to these realities, more comes to you. But I wanted to ask you, Ed, have you seen these small light orbs during the day or at night?
yes, a lot of it. And, I don't know how to say this because I don't want to scare people, but there are energy forms or spiritual forms that are traveling on the earth all over the place.
Yep.
And they actually have the ability to come through your window and move around in your house and then exit and move back out. I just 3 days ago was talking with a young lady, and she had one come from a distance as she saw it and zoom right up and go right into her head. And then basically she was awake, and then as if she went to sleep and then came back to. And the only thing I could tell her is that it was probably a spiritual vehicle or a spiritual being.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it didn't go off and go to heaven or hell or wherever we go to, but that maybe it wanted to stick around, and it might have came to her and hitchhiked or joined in, or it might have been a relative spirit or that. And I see these great big bubbles with the night vision goggles.
Yeah.
And they look like a hot air balloon. But they're around her. They're around her, and they're clear, and you can look like you're looking into them, but you're not. And then sometimes you can see like an image of a being in there. And
well, Ed,
I think
Ed, let me ask you, Ed, that I experienced. I saw one the size of a beach ball, 20 feet away, and it came towards me as if it had a consciousness about it. And just like you said, you could see through it, and it looked like cytoplasm. It had a texture to it, and it looked like it was curious, but I was amazed at the physical size of it.
I think it could be like an intelligent energy, and it may even be looking for a body or a source or whatever. I just don't know everything, but I know a lot, and I've been out there researching and doing, and there's just about nothing out there going on that I haven't seen or been around. And
I think we're looking at multiple dimensions. I think with the goggles you can see distance, and you can make out other spectrums of light. But I think we're looking at layers and layers and layers of dimensionality. That's what I'm thinking here. So the light orbs could be a spiritual dimension. Then you have the UFOs as a completely, other dimensional being. I think there's many layers to this.
I think you're right.
And I think you will find that in the human race or anything, there is some individuals or entities that are good and bad. And I think that orbs can be good or bad. Probably for most part they're good. But in one situation, I don't want to mention any names or how long ago, but it hasn't been too long. This girl that I knew, that she grew up and I was like an extra person around and picked on her as a kid and watched her playing baseball and stuff, you know, and I used to be a coach and everything. And when she knew I was the UFO guy, night vision guru and all that, she calls me up and wants to come and see with her boyfriend. And I said, fine, come on. So they do, and then they get me aside from the group, and they're telling me about these orbs that I talk about, and that they come and they go across the vineyard, and they come over and they move in and they come towards the house, and they hang around outside the house, and they've got brave, and a couple of them came in the house, and then they look at them and they've left. And I told them, don't get too friendly because you don't know what these orbs want. Maybe they just want to visit. Maybe they want to come and take you over. Maybe they are bad spirits trying to find out what they can do. So you have to be careful. So they don't know. So then it got to the point where they were telling me things come right up to our door, and they'll hang out outside, and we'll open the door, and they'll come in. They can come right through the window or whatever, and they'll come in, and we'll sit down and be eating dinner, and they'll move around in the room. So then a couple of months go by, these things are really getting active and friendly. Well, the guy and a couple of his friends go to town. And I don't know if they went to get beer or snacks or barbecue food or whatever, but they're away and she's at the house, and they call up, says, oh, you can't believe it. We're coming down the road. We'll be here in a couple minutes. The orbs are coming around. They're going right beside the car and in front of the car, and they're just really friendly. And it's almost like they want to join us. And she goes, oh, far out. And then they hang up, and she never hears from them. They don't show up at home. And she gets a phone call. They were all in an accident right after they talked, and they were all killed. So, strange things can happen. The only thing you can do is try to be aware and try to deal with it in the right way.
Yeah.
And don't let something take your spirit or your soul. And
yeah,
I have seen these big ones. I've seen them over subdivisions. I've seen them over mobile trailers. And I go back the next day and I check around that neighborhood, and I find out that usually someone has passed away. So I suspect that when I see this thing moving 50 feet above the house, and you can't see it unless you have glasses, and then it moves off and goes to another place, comes back, and it is actually the size of a hot air balloon that carries people in a basket. And you can't see it, only with the certain level goggles. And the cheap, low-grade goggles don't work. And I've been out with people closing up, getting ready to leave, and have one show up and come over by this field and come across the field right at me and be about 200 feet away, and I shine a green laser onto it, and it kind of illuminates it a little with the laser, and it comes to a stop. I turn the laser off, and it moves a little closer, turn it back on, it stops, and then it moves over to the right of me, then it moves back to the left of me, goes out, around, and behind me. And I was getting a little scared. I was wondering, well, am I going somewhere or what? And then I just kept shining the laser at it, blinking it. And And it finally picked up, moved on, went across over towards the subdivision, and then it disappeared. And I have seen those things move and speed that look supersonic from a standstill position, just a swoosh, and they're gone, and they're flown so fast they're out of sight.
Mm-hmm.
And only thing I can say is they're spiritual vehicles. Are they soul takers? Do they take a dead person's spirit and take it to a special place, or I don't know what? But they're existing. They're real. And one of the other things that I used to think, well, probably not, is I was one night with my dog and looking at the dog that just blocked my gate, was getting ready to come down maybe 130 feet to the house. Well, my dog started growling and snarling. I'm looking at him with the goggles, and his hair is standing up, and he's looking up at a certain direction with his head. So I turned the goggles on and looked up that way, and here I saw it. And it was a human-like body with a cape fluttering on top and behind it. And it had its arms out in front of it, about 300 feet high, and it was traveling at about the speed of somebody would pedal a bicycle. And my dog growled and barked. And it turned its head and looked towards us. It leaned its arms in our direction and just broke over and started coming right at us. And I just broke and ran, and I called the dog. Come on, dude. I just hit the house on the move, and the dog and I came in, locked the door, and I turned all the lights on. And I had a 12 gauge ready to go and my .357 Magnum. And I set, my back in good position, lights off the house, and waiting to see if it would break through. But the dog would move to one side of the house, and he'd move over to the other side, and the other side, this side. And like as if this thing was circling around, trying to figure out how to get her to what. And then finally, 3 hours of this, I went into the room, put the dog in with me, the bedroom, and I put a couple of things out, the trip lever lights on, the snake noise, the box noise, fish string, like a wake-up. I went in, I was barely able to get to sleep on the phone, thinking of it. And about a month later, I told a few people and everybody laughed. So I would have laughed too if I heard about it. But I'm the one who saw it. And so I know it was there. I know it was real. And I think how many things out there that we think is a lie or a fairy tale are actually real. Dracula, Mothman, all that. So Tommy, George, Noorey was at a place, and I was there. I told them, and they looked at me and laughed. Oh my God, you got to see Mothman.
Hey Ed, can you your phone's breaking up a little bit again.
Maybe I get it up higher. Is it better when I'm up higher?
Yeah, it sounds right now. Yeah.
I think what I'm doing is my mouth is sliding down, old age. So anyway, that's just, you can just go on endlessly. There are things that are unbelievable that happen, and if you look at them and try to figure them out, it's scary because people think you're crazy because you talk about that. But yet, I don't talk about something that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because it's only one more thing for people to get more ammo to say, oh, look, he's crazy.
Yeah.
But the truth of it is, I'd rather be half crazy than totally stupid. And if the world thinks there's nothing going on out there, and they don't believe in aliens, they don't believe in spaceships and stuff, then I can't help them. They're totally stupid. And
Well, Ed, can I break in, Ed, real quickly?
Yeah.
On that point, I've been studying Zecharia Sitchin and his take on the Anunnaki, on the origin of man, and when you reverse and you review this alternative concept of how we became humanity, I think that's super interesting. I'm sure you've done research on that. And when you go back that far and you look at the way history may have been created or how it actually formed, that's a whole nother bailiwick right there. Are you familiar with the Sitchin?
Yeah.
And what's your take on that?
Well, I believe that right now that the Earth has been destroyed a number of times.
Yep. And
you can see it with the mountains and the gravel up high in the mountains that used to be a stream bed. Sea life found in the Sierra Mountains or in the Colorado Mountains, and like it used to be an ocean, and you uncover, you kick it around, and there is, clams and things. It's just, it had to be a lot of shaking, moving, and going on, water levels. And off the coast of India, there's a town that they found that's 150 feet underwater.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all stones and pillars and things like that. So at one time, there was human-like beings living there, and they got destroyed. They got flooded over. And supposedly, the legend is that those beings were there, and that other craft came in and was fighting with them that had lightning-like weaponry, and that they had firing back at the other craft, things that were like lightning going up from the ground and going after the craft. So it sounds like to me that we're looking at one alien fighting against another one that it took up squatter rights or was here on Earth and wasn't part of the other Earthling people. But, those are just thoughts. But if you go and you take all these different things like that and put it together, you will basically be amazed, because there's too much of that stuff that becomes exact after one story over here on the world and another over there on the world. And it is just too much coincidence and collaboration to be a lie.
There's actual footage, and this was some amazing footage when I seen it. I don't know the exact name of it, but if you type in UFO and shot at, you'll actually find a video of a UFO coming close to the Earth's atmosphere, and then this flash comes from the Earth. It blinks at it from the Earth like some type of vibration or light, and then it backs up a little bit, and then a laser beam shoots from the Earth and tries to hit the UFO, and it turns around and leaves. I'm actually thinking that the UFO, whoever's occupying the UFO, is the good guys. And whoever's shooting at them,
you might be right.
Are the bad guys.
They're trying to keep out our helpers.
Yeah, I think if the whole Zecharia Sitchin thing holds any weight about us being, the Homo sapiens being created as, to be workers, it's pretty obvious that we work our 9 to 5s so a few people can sit up basically on the thrones, and we're just like mice running on the wheels to keep the system running. And as long as you have businesses and everything going, it keeps everything spinning and all the energy for everybody working together, so that a few people can sit up and live lavish and not work at all.
I think most of us are aware of that, and Erich would probably agree.
Oh yeah, Derek, think about this: is that the human, Homo sapien, we only utilize about 8 to 10% of our brain. And I believe that we were manufactured to be basically slave workers and not so intelligent. And you wonder, we have this magnificent brain, and why aren't we able to access it like a computer? And I think there's something there. And you look at the junk DNA. You look at the way it's all spliced together, all nilly-willy. And you look at all these facts, and you look at the jump between Cro-Magnon and Homo sapiens. There's a huge leap there. And so when you piece this thing
I refer
together,
to that as the missing link.
Yeah, absolutely. It's right there. And when you pose that question to a scientist or geneticist and say, why is the DNA strand spliced together in this fashion, they really can't give you a straight answer. And that speaks volumes right there. And so as a critical thinker, we need to unlearn what we've been taught. And when we start thinking critically about the big picture, it all starts coming in quite clear.
There's a lot of psychic phenomenon that happens just with regular people, whether it's synchronicity, as small as being able to get this notion of your friend who you haven't talked to in a long time is calling, and then they call you on the phone, or you think of or you think of a program that you haven't seen in years, and then as soon as you think of it, it comes on the television or a commercial, and just little small stuff like that we need to pay attention to, because we're not being taught how to, utilize these giftings at school or on the jobs or anything like that. Like, they don't want you to utilize those giftings and think for yourself. And if you do start talking about it, you're demonized, or you're an occultist, or you're a psychic, and that has a lot of negative things that go along with it to a lot of people just by using those terminologies and stuff.
But Derek, you're on a this is sort of a tangent, but you're absolutely right. This is the deal: is that you, as a human, have more powers than you can possibly imagine. You can manifest your reality. You can manifest anything you wish. And you should know that of all people, because what you've done in the last year or 2 years, you've manifested what you wanted. Okay? So we can talk about, UFOs and interdimensionals and human history, but it goes even deeper than that. Reality is even, I can't remember who coined the phrase, it's even stranger than you can imagine. Yeah. Okay? It's all stranger than, but you possess as a human being more power than you know. You just have to know how to access it and manifest that. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, and I think that was known by the ancients. I think that was known by our ancestors and things. My whole thing is to actually uncover that and get back to it and say, technology is good. We're actually able to have this conversation and link together and things like that through technology. But if we forget our essence, if we forget who we were before the materialism, before the computers, where Facebook and this web that connects us all together, there's actually a real web, which is called some people call it the global brain, some people call it the source field, where we're all connected. We can sense each other's feelings. We know when somebody's going through tribulation or whatever, so you know how to talk to that person. You can sense when they're going through trials and stuff like that. And that's what I'm about. That's what I'm with my music and the radio show. It's like, look, return to your essence, return to who you were before the materialism, man. And there's so much to uncover, and I think our ancestors had it. And I don't think it's this mystic and it's so far away. I think it was very close to our distant past, even with the North American Indians or the Egyptians, and all these people had this deep spirituality that ran through, and it was normal. And we're so far removed from that now. It's sad, really.
And the Atlanteans, some speculate the Atlanteans were at that level. They were spiritual people. They weren't materialistic at all. But something changed. The materialism creeped in, and that's what ultimately destroyed their societies. So that's where we are at this point. We're very materialistic. We're all about the iPhone, the iPad, computers.
Yeah, we've been infiltrated by, it's almost like a demon of knowledge. And so we all think about how to get our hands on that iPod or that Ferrari, whatever, and we don't think about how to get a hug from the fellow human. Make sure that they got food.
Yeah.
Now, I actually I do a lot of inventive work and things like how to generate and make electricity, how to make cars run further. I did my GI Bill for 2 years of technical college for automotive. And, I never have enough money. I never get enough support to try to build it, to fix it. But those who have done it, they end up dead. Dead mysteriously. They jumped off of a building. They were killed in their lab by something. There's a great conspiracy of death to keep that down and on and keep oil flowing. It is very possible that they have a full-time team that goes around and they look for things that threaten their finances. If it comes out, it's loose, they try to destroy it. And, I'm almost 68 years old. I'm having a rough time, and everything I have is destroyed or taken away. It's almost like they're going to try and stop me from functioning by destroying the world around me. And it's terrible to try and retire and realize you don't have enough money to buy groceries or pay your taxes. And like, if you're behind on a property tax, they charge you 10% penalty on what you owe. And then they charge you 18% of that. So you're paying 28%. And, not quite a third. But when you have a $3,000 tax bill and they add another $1,500 to it, plus the new bill, and if you're old or retired and you're trying to make it meet, you can't keep up with paying your taxes. So then they take your property away from you and tell you to go live on the street. Now, isn't that a great country that does that for you? You pay taxes, you're a vet, fought for them, and then at the end they want. We're totally being lied to and manipulated, over control. And the president faked a birth certificate to make him look legal. Now, if I faked paperwork to the court, to the city, or made a phony birth certificate up and tried to pass it off, that'd be fraudulent. Now, but nothing happens to him.
Yeah.
He commits conspiracy to undermine our Constitution.
Yeah.
And he agreed that he was going to support it and protect it. And he's doing nothing but taking it away. Well, see, I don't think he has the right to take the Constitution away. I don't think anybody has the right to do it. And if they do it, then that's a conspiracy, and they need to be arrested. They need to be taken out of office.
Yeah, but it's like we were saying a while ago. I really think that, the evil ones are on the earth. I don't think there's a threat from the outside that we have to worry about. I think that the evil ones, even as in the scriptures, that Satan and his angels fell out of heaven or were kicked out of heaven and cast down to the earth. I think they've set up their dominion on earth, and they're running everything. And they've infiltrated the government. They've infiltrated the educational system. They've whitewashed history. And they've got us right where they want us. I think it's planned. I don't think we have a choice. I think it's planned, but at the same time, there's a lot of negative talk and a lot of, fear. I'm really optimistic about everything. I really think that there is a God and that there is a supreme creator who really does have our best interest in mind. I really believe that. I have peace believing that. If I didn't believe that, I would have no reason not to rob, steal, and just try to get with them and sell my soul to get with those higher up doing this corruption and things like that. But, I really think that,
I don't want to see that.
Yeah. Oh, I don't either. I don't either, and I think there's a lot of people who don't want to be that either. It's not just
Eric,
us.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we are coming into a new era of positive, not negative. I think the veil is being lifted. We're having this conversation. I wouldn't have had this conversation 3-5 years ago. I've learned so much, and again, I keep saying that phrase, the veil has been lifted. I think we are coming into an era where it's going to change because more people are going to be awakened. And the powers that be realize that. That's why you see this intensity and this. I mean, you see things that are just alarming. It's like, why in the world would they do that? The people at the top understand the veil is being lifted. People are awakening, and I see nothing but a positive future.
I do too.
People.
A lot of
I do
people.
too.
This is Anthony. A lot of people forget who the real boss is. You know. Mr. Grimsley, I wanted to say, listening to your story and everything about how your stuff got burned and all that, I think that's really messed up. You know, it's unfortunate for you. But drive on, you know.
Insider, yeah.
Drive on, man, and keep moving forward with what you're doing. I mean, I appreciate it. I'm pretty sure that Erich and Derek appreciate it too, and not only us but the listeners as well. You know, and the rest of the world, they need to know this. You know, I'm not real educated on the subject, but you know, me and Derek have gone out and we've stargazed, and I mean, it's opened my mind in a huge way. I was just wowed and awed, you know, when I got a chance to go out and do that with them. I'm totally just blown away. So, you know, my eyes are open to it now, and I'm pretty sure that we can all appreciate the work and the extensive study and that you've done in the field. I just wanted to say that, and I'll be praying for you, man. I hope everything works out.
Well, I definitely can use all the prayers I can get. But, you know, when you said you believe in a creator and that there's something more powerful, I'd like to try to make it as quick as I can. But I was in the military, and I was walking across my air base in northern Michigan, and I went across to my duty section, and there was a flat pad and a forklift ramp, and it was storming, and it started to snow. And it was 40 degrees below in northern Michigan, right up there by the lakes, you know, and near the Canadian border. And I'm walking across, and I think there's enough snow on the ramp to walk safely, but big mistake. It had a little snow drifted across it. It had thawed a little bit that day, and then it was ice. And my feet went in the air. My back slammed into the crevice where the angle changes, and my head slammed down. I was knocked unconscious. When I woke up, I realized I was paralyzed from the middle of my back down, and that I was blind, and I couldn't move myself, I couldn't drag, and it was 8 o'clock at night, snowing, 40 below zero, and about a 20-mile-an-hour wind. And I tell you, laying there, I got religious. And a lot of prayer. I would fall asleep, and I was so cold and so freezing that everything hurt. And I'd fall asleep and dream that I was on an island in the coconuts and the sand, and then I'd be all peaceful, and then I would be cold and wake again. And then finally, I felt something against my chest, and I heard it, and it jumped back up, and it said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you alive?" And it kicked me in the ribs. And I said, "Don't keep kicking me or I won't be." And the guy says, "What are you doing?" I says, "Oh, I just thought I'd take a nap." And I had a crazy sense of humor, even though I was almost dead. And he goes, "What?" I told him I fell, I'm paralyzed, I'm blind, I can't move, and I've been yelling for help and then passing out. He said, "Man, I'm going to go for help right away." And he goes, don't go anywhere. And I go, duh. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry, man. I'll be right back. And he went and told help where I was. And he came running back with a blanket or a coat or something because I couldn't see. And he was brushing snow off me. I was buried in snow. And he saw my face, had icicles coming out my nose and over my mustache. And I had icicles on my cheeks. And my fingers were frozen and discolored. And I couldn't bend my fingers anymore. And he got me help, and they put me in a tank of ice water to thaw me out. Well, in that time when I was praying to send me help, I didn't care what it came from. But he ran out of cigarettes in the barracks at 2:30, and he went to get a pack of cigarettes cutting across the base out of the machine, stepped on me and fell over me in the dark at 2:35. And when he told me that he was looking for cigarettes, then I just laughed because smoking saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's amazing.
And so I went through a lot of hell and trying to heal and get things together, and I still have problems. But I had forgotten for a long time.
Yeah.
I had told God, well, Frank's doing save me, help. I'd do what I could to help the world. And about 10 years ago, I needed heart surgery. They did some surgery, and it messed up on it. It put the wire torn up. It caused some clot storms, and it blocked up and was giving a heart attack, and they had to go in and free it up. And when they did, I looked at the machine, and they were without probe, whatever, and my heart quit. And I said, my heart quit. And the doctor said, no. Oof, off I went and died. And I was dead for a little while, and they defibrillated me twice after that. And when I woke up, I had been talking to spiritual entities within several. And then I died again while he worked. And they defibrillated me twice and got me back. Then, the third time I died, it took a long time. And they defibrillated me, and then they defibrillated me, and defibrillated me 5 times. And they didn't get me back. The doctor said to call it. And the nurse told him to do something to himself, and she did one more to me. And she really laid it on me. My heartbeat came back, and so after about a half hour, they had taken another defibrillator for me, and I had all this water coming out of my body all over the tube from all being defibrillated. And I felt like I was red hot and barbecue. And like two was able to talk with the nurses, and they don't get to be rough. They thought I was gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the spirits that were in me, they stayed with me.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I was awake in intensive care, I could communicate with them, but we had in and out so much. And you know, when I was laying on the table and died, I thought I was all by myself. I saw a tunnel and swirling light and all that. And I thought to myself, I've died. I guess I should go towards that light. And this energy says, no, don't do that. That's our retinal nerves. And it gets an image in the brain. I go, who are you? What are you saying are? What's on? Well, when you forget your keys, I tell you, you forgot your keys. or you should know that I'm part of this. And I kind of like, okay. And when I came to, after the first time Vanity had talked to me, I looked at that tunnel of light, and my heart started. And a month later, I was able to talk to Rupert, and he looked over at me, and he said,
Wow.
"Well, do you know who I am?" And I go, "Yeah." He says, "Who are you?" And I go, "Who are?" He says, "Do you think you died?" I go, "Yeah." Did you still flowing? Did entities or voices talk to you from within? Well, yeah, too. He said, "You were dead."
Wow. That's amazing, man.
And I said to him, "How many people do you kill?" And he says, "Yeah, but I bring them back."
That's amazing. That's an awesome way to end the show. Man, thanks for speaking with us for right over an hour and a half, man. We appreciate having you on. I guess right before we let you go, why don't you give everybody the links of where they can check out your work at?
Well, I have a link of www.edgrimsley.com. And then there's several places around where on YouTube and different things about night vision goggles and UFOs. I'm probably about 800,000 places. And then there's a whole bunch of places where the debunkers say, "Oh, he's a fake, he's a phony, blah, blah. He's just trying to make money selling glasses." Well, anytime I sell goggles, they're cheaper than what you can get them for brand new, the same thing, because I get them at the factory. I'm a dealer, and I get wholesale, and then I pass them on to the people. And then I tell the people what to look for and try to train them, and then they're part of the team, the Skywatchers, you know? And it's been going fast and growing all over the world, so even if I die next week, my work is going to go on as long as people stand up. And the truth, you're seeing it, hearing it, so is Erich and them, and a million other people around the world that are saying, "Hey, this is true, it's not a lie." So they try harder to debunk me and make me look bad. And my phone number is on the website. It's over the place. And I try to answer the phone whenever I can. I mean, my God, I'm getting phone calls at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning. Like he says, I'm in the shower in the morning, and I answer the phone. He can hear the shower running. I mean, that's the way I do, you know. And if I sell a pair of goggles and make $200 on a pair of goggles, somebody else with $600, it helps support my work. And then do that. But at the same time, there's a conspiracy work that I want to steal goggles or have broke into a location, sold, and stole $300 laser. And it's just like, it gets so disgusting that I almost think I should just try to help animal kind rather than mankind. But I still feel like as long as I can get a few people to listen, it's fine. But it's so,
well, Ed, let me break in, Ed, before you leave. This is Erich. I just want to let you know that you're doing a great job. Because of you, I've been able to expose many, many people to the reality. And just know that you have touched many, many people, and to continue the work. And I really respect how brave you are, being criticized. And I tell you what, at the end of the day, this will all come out, and a new paradigm will occur. And people like you have really made a difference. So well done, sir.
Well, thank you. I just hope I can bring more money in and keep from starving to death and losing my properties and goggles stolen, because they know if I don't have goggles, I can't do half the work. And so, you know, it's just a crazy thing, you know. If some millionaire wants to give some money away, I wouldn't mind a little help, because I'm teetering right on the edge of dropping in, you know. And I just feel like you shouldn't be punished for telling the truth. It's not working out that way. And for every 10 people that understand you and believe you, some idiot will call up and say, you ought to be shot. You don't believe in God. You believe in aliens, and you this, you that. And I sat and I told the guy, I says, I believe in God, and I think aliens are part of God's creation. Everything. Yeah. And I said, you don't believe in God? And he says, no, I believe in God, you don't. How do you say I don't? I'm telling you, as a human, open your eyes, look towards God, ask the right questions, and try to get the truth. And whether it sounds like it's bad or not, I'm trying to tell you the truth and help you. And I'm trying to help God do it.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I explain my situation, what I'm trying to do, and he's the guy who first told me and said I ought to be shot. By the time we talked for about 20 minutes, he says, can I call you back in a little bit? I said, okay. So about 15 minutes later, he calls me back. And he said, listen, I got to apologize. He said, you're not who I thought you were. And he said, I got a little money. I'm going to check the bank with my wife, and I'll send you. A week later, I got a $100 check from him in the mail. So
that's awesome. Well, yeah, like I said, man, I mean, the one who was watching over you when you was in the snow, and I think he's still watching over you, and as long as you stand on that path doing what you're supposed to do, he's going to make provisions for you to do that. And, man, thanks so much for calling, Ed, and we're going to have you back on here in the next few months, if that's fine.
Yeah, and, there's a couple other people I can line you up with that know the real truth.
Yes, send me those emails, man, if you can line it up. We'd definitely like to get those names you mentioned to me.
Oh, like Roger Lear, Jordan Maxwell, Jose Escamilla. I mean, these are people that they're telling you the truth. They're not trying to bullshit anybody.
Yeah.
But every one of us that are out telling the truth, we have a rough go of it. And finances, everything else. There's a lot of people that are out there putting on conferences, playing the big role in the shows. And, they're artificial, and they're making money at it. Now, what good does it do you and other people who just want to simply get the truth?
Yeah, Jordan Maxwell, he's awesome. I've actually spoke with him a few hours on the phone, and he definitely helped me out a lot, his lectures and just speaking to him in general. With that being said, we're talking about orbs and spirits and things like that, and definitely want to end on a positive note, man, because when you study demonology, when you study and research, behind spirits and things like that, you find out that fear itself is a spirit. In the scriptures it says the Lord has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So therefore we understand that fear is a spirit that actually operates, and when you're dealing with fear and just fear-mongering, you're dealing with demons. So that's one thing we don't want to let the people leave on a note of, to be scared. Like I said, I really believe that the supreme creator, whoever you think he is, he has our best, she, whatever you want to call it, they have our best interest in mind. I feel it in my heart, and that's what this show is about. Even though, we're going to, be approaching some times that are going to be shaky, are going to be hard, are going to be a little bit bumpy, but I think we're going to make it through. I think you can agree with me, can't you?
Yes, I completely agree.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, thanks for, calling in, man. You guys helping me out with the show, and it was a good first time talking with you, man.
Oh, I really appreciate talking to everybody, and I'll talk to you offline and to review the show, and I've got some things to talk with you about, and again, I appreciate being invited.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll be doing it next week, every Wednesday, so everybody who's, downloading the podcast, sharing the message on Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that, thanks for everybody tuning in and everything, and everybody in the chat room as well. And we will be back next week. Anything you want to say in closing, Anthony?
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, man. I mean, every time I get a chance to do this, it's more and more enlightening. for me. Mr. Grimsley obviously stole the show. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Erich, I haven't actually had a chance to meet you, man, but hopefully I'll get a chance to meet you in the future, man. And thanks a lot, dude. I appreciate it.
All right. Hey, nice to meet you, and I'm sure you will. It's a small world. It's a small universe, and again, I think there's a reason why I was connected to Derek and got involved with this. I think we have similar ties. It's a strange world in which we live in,
Mm-hmm. Whenever the doors open for you, you just got to walk through them, and if you don't, it's on you. So, how can you not?
I think we're in for some really interesting times, and I think we should all enjoy it. And I think your point, Eric, is just stay positive, because this is just nothing but a ride. You're a spirit in a physical body, and just enjoy the ride and be positive. And there's no fear, and you manifest what you want. If you manifest what you want, it will come true. And Derek, you know that, because everything that you've done. Look what you've done. Look at this show you created. Look at the reality you've created for yourself. It's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you're boundless.
Yeah.
There are.
I agree.
Boundaries. Yeah.
I agree, man. I'm telling you, fear is crippling, man. It will. I remember when I first got introduced to the truth movement or whatever, it was through fear, and that's what it is for a lot of people, because it takes a lot of different things to wake people up, and sometimes it may be 9/11 truth or chemtrails or whatever the case is, to where you find out that, hey, this world doesn't operate like I thought it did. Like, for some reason, like in my mind, I thought that the presidency and all government were like these righteous people, and then you see them lying to us on television, whether it be Clinton, looking dead in the camera, telling you from the bottom of his heart he did not have relations with that woman, and everybody believed him. And then, and then just, a few days later it comes out, and he's like, well, yeah, I did have relations with the woman or whatever. It's like, man. And then, you find out about different stuff that the government's doing, and you say, hold on, I put a lot of stock and I put a lot of trust in these people who can't be trusted.
No.
Right. And then you start going down the rabbit hole as far as you want to go, and you find out that this world does not operate the way they say it does. Our bodies do not operate the way they say it does, and its system is designed to keep us in bondage and to keep us useless eaters.
Right.
Yeah.
Derek, you're absolutely right. Let me tell you something. What's amazing is that what I've discovered is this: if you turn off your TV, if you turn off CNN and Fox and the media, that creates a consensus reality. And so that, in essence, becomes reality, what comes out of that box in your living room. But if you shut it off, if you shut that box off, your reality completely changes, and it becomes more positive. And so I think it's the biggest propaganda tool ever created. If the Nazis had TV, they could have ruled the world. Okay? And so that's the key here. Create your own reality, manifest what you want, and it will come true. That's the secret to everything. You have amazing powers, and you have no idea. But because we're consuming fluoride, and we're consuming Monsanto products, and we're watching sports, and we're watching CNN, and we're being dumbed down as a society, you are not reaching the pinnacle of who you are and what you can do. That's the secret. Agree?
Yeah, I agree. Man. People need to know that. People need to know that,
But you talking about Clinton, man? That cat was like, I did it in hell. I did it in hell.
Yeah, if you want to do political, they're all skull and bones. They're all on the same page. It's all Republicans and Democrats they're basically the same ilk. I voted for the first time in my life for Obama, and then quickly I realized that his administration did the same to Bush and the actions of bailout, war, etc. And then I realized that was it. The reality kicked in is that it's one control.
Dictatorship. It's a dictatorship, and they want you to think that your vote counts. They want you to think that you're involved
Yeah.
So, you'll be a part of the game. You think that you have a say-so, but it's planned out. All of it's planned out. You can't vote the devil out of office. Come on now.
Right. But
it doesn't work like that.
Scary? But what's scary is like I have, pretty intelligent, I consider intelligent friends.
Mm-hmm.
When you try to communicate these ideas to them, they look at you as if you have two heads. And you go through it by line item and say, this administration is doing the same as this administration. They still think it's a duality issue. It's like, well, my guy is better than your guy. They're brainwashed. They're in essence zombies. And that's I think that's the scariest thing of all concepts that we've been discussing is the fact that your friends are in this stupor. Mm-hmm. They have these glassy eyes and they have their own. They're in a matrix. That's insane, but their perception of reality is just ridiculous.
Yeah. They've been sold a lie, and I, for one, with my music and just with everything I've been through, I mean, it was hard for me to come out and talk. Whenever I found you online and actually talked to you, it did wonders for me because I had nobody to talk to. And once I finally had somebody to talk to, I got a lot of stuff off my chest, and we can play ideas off of each other. And what do you think about this? Well, I've seen this. Well, I haven't. And really have somebody to talk to. And I've basically stuck my neck out there because I was pretty respected within the religious community, operating as an evangelist since 2004 with my music and everything. And then we start talking about some of these things, and then I'm demonized like crazy. Like they don't, they think I'm a witch and all kind of crazy stuff. But I'm still a firm believer in the Bible, in God, and I practice it with my family and teaching integrity. And I let my yes be yes and my no be no, but you really see it like the Salem witch trials, man. And anything different, they demonize what they don't understand. I've put my neck out there, and I thank you for doing that too, because I know you was a little hesitant to come on and everything, but I'm really glad you ended up calling in, man. You're very well spoken, and the show went great, and a lot of people's going to hear it. So thanks so much for calling in. That's really to both of you guys as well,
Well, thank you. As a sidebar, I didn't know you talked to Jordan Maxwell. He's one of my idols. I love. He is so smart and so well read, and I have learned so much from that man. It's just a shame that he's basically living in squalor. But but we all have our roads. We have these are our agendas. This is what we're here for, to do certain things. And that was Maxwell's, job was to educate us, And so when he passes, he did his job. He basically enlightened us in some fashion. And I think we're all here to fill roles and to do things. We have projects, and that's what we're here for. And we're here to learn too. That. And it is fun. I mean, even though
it's interesting to say the least.
But we are, once we realize that we are indeed slaves, and your eyes are open to that reality, it's like, well, great, we're slaves, but finally that, again, that phrase, the veil has been lifted. Well, finally, and then you can learn from that and go from there. And I don't even go into reincarnation. That's a whole other topic we'll talk about later. And in closing, so you got to get going. I enjoyed this evening, and I appreciate your time.
Me too, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Every Wednesday, man, we're going to try to keep it up and get new guests in. And if you guys have anybody you guys want to refer, even the listeners, contact me through Facebook. Let me know who you guys want to hear on the show. We'll talk to them. We got some amazing shows lined up, people who have influenced me. And, one thing I want to say about Jordan Maxwell, I just got an update today. He's actually getting his talk show back up and going. So if you go to YouTube or Google and type in the Jordan Maxwell Show, he's getting his show lined up. So he's going to be doing a podcast as well. But I was talking to him for a while, and he's the reason that I really decided, to put my music back out, because there was a point where I wasn't going to do it. And, he just, I just after talking to him just encouraging me, and I'm trying to do the same thing for him, to really encourage him, because, we all need it. And, if anybody's demonized and if anybody's, talked about, and we think we have it hard. That guy, man, they've stolen his work and plagiarized it and made movies out of it, and he hasn't seen a dime, So he's definitely been down through there, but he's a huge inspiration with all the influence that he has,
I agree.
Yeah. Jordan Maxwell's pretty awesome, man. I've watched a lot of his stuff since I met you, and I was blown away by his stuff, So
yeah,
kudos to Jordan, man.
And the thing is, with the information we're dealing with, it is esoteric. It is out there. It does seem crazy. You see UFOs fighting in the sky. You're seeing spirits fly up. It sounds crazy. The thing about it, if it doesn't resonate with you, fine. Keep moving. I mean, yeah, you're going to laugh about it because you think it's kooky, but for those it resonates with, for those who need somebody to talk to, for those who are looking for answers in this particular area, it moves them deep down to their core, and they're like, man, this is what I've been. I'm telling you, all the inbox messages I get, people saying that, like, the research and the information and stuff I talk about is changing their life, my music and things like that, man, it's so worth it, putting my neck out there and receiving the bad, because the good totally outweighs the bad, man.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, you're doing the right thing, and you know that too, and you're here for a reason, and it feels good too,
Yeah.
Your higher self knows that you're doing the right thing, and you're searching. Just keep searching, and when your time is here to pass over, you've done your job.
Well, that's about it for tonight, man. Thanks for everybody joining us in the chat room, everybody from Facebook checking it out, everybody on YouTube. Please feel free to share this on YouTube and on Facebook, man, and get the word out there, and join us again next week. I believe we'll be talking to author Bill Bean, who has had a lot of experience dealing with unseen forces and demons and angels and UFOs and all this type of stuff. He's got footage, he's got pictures, and some amazing stuff. So you guys go ahead and do your research on him. Bill Bean, he's got tons of pictures of UFOs and entities in his house, dealing with him when he was a child, and they're actually going to be making a movie based on his life. So join us next week. We'll be back at 9 p.m. Central next week. So I want to say shalom and good night to everybody.
All right. Take it easy, Erich. Take it easy, Derek.
Hey,
all right, peace, brothers.
All right, now.
All right.
If you want to support the show, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. With over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player, you can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial by using any computer to go to audibletrial.com/TMP.